I picked 10 books off of my TBR that I wanted to read before the year ends, and today I'm going to be reading, oh my god, look at how cute he is. Oh, hi baby. So, I have a bed in my office because C-section and newborn, it was just easier to have the bed down here. Anyways, that's why that's there. But today, I'm going to be reading the highest rated book off my TBR and the lowest rated book off of the TBR. And it's not really my overall TBR, it's just 10 books that I want to read before the year ends because my TBR on Goodreads is very long. And honestly, probably a lot of those books I don't actually want to read right now. I didn't want to just filter it and get a book that I just am not in the mood for. So that's why I went through and just blindly picked out books that sounded like books that I'm going to read in the near future. The 10 books I want to read before the year ends are Daisy Hates, which is the second Magnolia Parks book. I want to read A River Enchanted. I also want to read Wild Reverence, is that what it's called? But I'm not putting that in this list. A Killer Wedding, The Missing Half, Wild Dark Shore, which I've heard lots of things about. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year is the only holiday book I'm adding to this list because honestly, last year I was like 2 months pregnant. I was not in the mood for anything holiday, so that could have been it. I don't know if I'm going to be in the mood for holiday books this year either. I didn't want to put too many holiday things on here or seasonal because if you're just not in the right mindset, sometimes those are just a complete mess. I also want to read In the Weeds because I have had these books for so long and I haven't finished them. I have all 4 books. I've read the first one and it's probably taken me 2 years to even get through the second one. I've tried it, I've picked it up a couple times, it just never was the right time and I want to read them in order. I'm just struggling to get through the second book. So I also want to read Our Last Resort, Like Mother, Like Daughter, and The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club because that just sounds kind of fun. When I was picking out books for this video in particular, I excluded books that were new releases. So there are a handful of books that I want to read right now that either just came out a couple weeks ago or are coming out in a couple days or whatever. And I excluded all of those from this because it's always hard to tell what the actual book's rating is in those first early reviews because you know how many people put a review on Goodreads before they've even read the book? It's an author will announce a book's coming out and everyone just rates it 5-star and it's so stupid to me. I wish Goodreads didn't allow you to do that until a month or two before or once the publisher has said ARCs have been sent out, now we can start accepting reviews. It just makes the book look so much better when it first gets released, which is why authors don't get mad at it, but it just is annoying and I don't like it. So the books I will be reading are Wild Dark Shore, which currently has a rating of 4.17, and Our Last Resort, which has a rating of 3.45, which really isn't that bad either, so I'm hoping it's still good. Wild Dark Shore, both of these, I have no idea what they're about. Let's look that up. Okay, Wild Dark Shore is a family on a remote island. A mysterious woman washed ashore, a rising storm on the horizon. Dominic Salt and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica, home to the world's largest seed bank. Shearwater was once full of researchers, blah, 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 until a storm and a woman washes it ashore. As they nurse the woman, Rowan, it feels like she might be what they need, but maybe she's not telling the whole truth. It's a really long description. I'm not going to read that all. It sounds like it has potential. I have no idea. It's probably going to have some twists. Can't get over how cute my dog is. Yeah, I love you. And then what was the other book? It says best-selling author of The Quiet Tenant, which I haven't read. 15 years ago, Frida and her brother escaped a cult. Now her brother's a prime suspect in a murder, and it isn't the first time. This is also a very long description, but I think that'll be enough info for me. Okay, so I'm gonna go download those books and start reading them, and the next time you see from me, I will give you my thoughts on them. Okay, I'm only 9% of the way into the book, so I'm on page 27 and there's 300 pages. I'm struggling to get started with this book, to get into it. I feel like there's just a lot of nothingness happening right now. I don't know how much of that I can handle because I have to be reading this in short spurts. I'm only reading when I'm not working or when the baby's eating or we're outside. She's unpredictable, so my reading schedule is unpredictable, and I need a book that's like gonna hook me in, because I can make time for reading if I'm hooked and like thinking about the book, but I just keep forgetting about this book and forgetting that I even have it. Let me check Libby. It's due in 3 days. I don't think I'm gonna finish it. I have to read 100 pages a day at that rate. So, yeah. It's due at 6 in the morning. It's not even like a full 3 days. It's like less than 3 days. Okay, so I really have to make progress on this. But just like nothing is happening. They're like, some of the descriptions, it's like just so long-winded and just weirdly written. I don't know if I should make myself just force myself to read it for the sake of this video or not, because I feel like that's gonna lead to me not liking it. But then again, everyone I know who has read it has liked it. So I feel like it gets good at some point, but like how long do I have to wait for it to get good? I don't like books that start off slow if I'm not vibing with the writing style. In 27 pages, all that has happened is a woman washed ashore. She was barely breathing and now she went pee. A seal gave birth. The daughter doesn't trust the dad, and the dad told them, we don't know if we can trust the woman. That's literally all that's happened. I've got my little sidekick over there. She woke up very early. She only took like a quick 30-minute nap, long enough for me to shower, and now here I am. I finished Wild Dark Shore yesterday. Gonna be honest, I didn't love it. I didn't love it nearly as much as everyone else I know liked it. I skipped a lot of the first half of the book. I feel like the first half was very mundane, slow, not much is happening, and I just didn't love all those little tiny details that just... It's like, on one hand, I like that the descriptions were vivid. I don't know, I think you just have to be in the right mood for books like that are very descriptive and not very plot heavy. I'm at a point where like I'm reading books in like 10-minute increments here and there, or sometimes 30 minutes. It's hard for me to stay focused on a book for that long if it's boring me. So I skipped a bunch of it, I'm gonna be honest. I skipped a lot of the first half. I just wanted to get to the plot, I guess. I ended up giving Wild Dark Shore a 3 out of 5 star rating. The end of the book like was good, and I can see why people liked it. I just wish it was easier to get to that point. Like I wish there was more editing on the first half of the book. I think someone's getting hungry, so I will reconvene my thoughts a little bit later. Okay, I'm back. I am gonna do a little bit of coloring while I'm talking about this because I want to finish up the background anyways. I thought Wild Dark Shore was okay. Like I said, the ending I thought was probably the best part. It wrapped up nicely. There's obviously one part that you kind of just wish didn't happen, but overall the ending is why I gave it a 3 instead of a 2. Let's be honest. Like the last half of the book really carried it for me. But now I am moving on to the lowest rated book, which is The Last Resort. I'm waiting for the Kindle version to be available, so right now I'm listening to it. So I'm doing a little bit of listening to it while I'm coloring, and so far I'm only like 2% in. I don't really know anything. I don't really have an opinion on it so far. One thing I will say about audiobooks is depending on the book, it really can make or break your opinion on it. And when there are like text threads or email threads are a big one, that gets very annoying because they say to so-and-so at gmail.com, from so-and-so at gmail.com. Yes, blah, blah, blah. And it's like one sentence, and then to so-and-so from so-and-so at gmail.com, and then it's another sentence. So that part gets annoying because all you can fixate on is them reading off an email, and you can't even really comprehend who's the to and from because they're spewing off this email that it's like, it would have been better if you just would have said to Mike from Sally, and I don't need to know the email address. But man, listening to that is rough. That is rough, especially when there's like 5 emails back and forth and all you're hearing is at gmail.com, at gmail.com, at gmail.com. And it's like, oh my God, chill.
Beats shock their senses.
I'm about halfway through the book, Our Last Resort. It's a lot different than I was expecting. I guess I didn't really like fully read the description, but I thought it was going to be more about solving a murder and less about their backstory. So for context, this girl and this boy are siblings, but not biological siblings. They were both in this cult and grew up together. But that being said, there is a lot of flashback to that time, and it seems like the author really wanted to talk about what went on there. And I get like the stuff they went through kind of shapes who they become as adults and kind of can give context to their relationship, but it's like full on just story and hardly any solving of the murder is happening. It's not really what I was expecting the book to be. I'm sure it will all wrap up fine, but as of now, this is looking like a 3-star book to me just because it's like, it's not a terrible time, but it's also just not what I was expecting and not super great. The brother, his wife died. He was never convicted, but like people kind of assumed he did it even though they couldn't prove it. And so now that there's a murder at this hotel that they're at, people are just assuming it's him because he killed his wife, even though that was never proven. But it's just the assumption everyone in the world seems to have of this one guy. Realistically speaking, if there was someone who made the news and I found out this person in this state killed their wife or suspected of it, and it was like on TikTok or whatever, and like we hear about it in our state, not just like local news. I don't know that 7-8 years later, if I'm on vacation, I'm gonna know immediately that that's that person. But in this book, everyone knows who he is. It's like not terrible, but it's not great either. So I'm just listening to it while I color and good enough. So that's where I'm at, halfway through. Hopefully I can finish this today or tomorrow. We'll see what the baby does. She's the little dictator in this house. It tells me what I can do and can't do. Speaking of coloring, let me show you some of my favorite coloring pages I've done recently. This is the All Booked Up coloring book from Elise Brienne. If you want 10% off on any Elise Brienne products, so coloring books, let me find my Kindle, where is it? I don't know where it is. My Kindle case, desk mats, iPad cases, just literally everything. If you want 10% off any of that, you can use the code Jordan10. I'm now an affiliate for her, and I'm very excited because I use her products all the time. I love the quality of her coloring books. They're definitely at the top of my list of favorites. I'm getting a desk mat and iPad case in the mail this week, and I'm very excited about that. But yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna go back to working and listening to this audiobook.
Scorpion has no choice. Scorpion stings. There's a sound at my side. Soft. Muffled. Gabriel has his face in his hands. His shoulders twitch. He's crying. I let him. Then the movement's so swift I don't register it until
I finished Our Last Resort. I think it's like a 2.5 star for me. Here's what I wrote on Goodreads for my review. Was this a book about a cult or a murder? We spent so much time in the past that it felt like the author wanted to actually write a story about escaping a cult. The actual murder and events in the present timeline were underdeveloped and not really a mystery at all. And I kind of said that from the beginning. We spent so much time talking about the past and developing that story that if you took all of that out, the actual murder and investigation was absolutely nothing. So yeah, the present timeline took place over like a week, but we actually never got any, like not really much happened. We had someone die. There was a husband who was a suspect early on, and then he got let go, and so then our main characters became the suspect. And I'm sure you can guess how this book ended. There was no mystery in this book at all. The development of the story really seemed like it was in the past. So we learn all about the cult, how it worked. The characters were way more developed in the past than in the present. Yes, learning some of that is helpful to know why they are who they are and the dynamic of their relationship, but all of that info wasn't needed to understand their relationship. They grew up together, so they are basically siblings. And that's not a hard concept to understand. Like, you can pretty much understand that two people going through a really hard traumatic time bonded and called themselves brother and sister their whole life. Like, I can see how that relationship played out, and I don't really need so much info. Now, granted, the past timeline was somewhat interesting, but I kept thinking, like, why are we developing this so much and the present day not at all? And I thought this was supposed to be like a suspenseful thriller, and it wasn't that at all. One thing that really bothers me is when people use whenever instead of when. This is something that's really, really prevalent on TikTok. I am not saying I'm the grammar police or I'm perfect with grammar. I say like and all the time. But when and whenever, that bothers me so much. It says, whenever the train stopped, I woke up. That means that every time the train stops, you wake up. But if you wrote when the train stopped, I woke up, you were talking about the one time it stopped, you woke up. The one time you were on that train and it stopped, you woke up. So that bothered me. Another instance of me like being like, why are we talking about this so much? It was when they went to the ocean for the first time, and there it was, the ocean. I got closer, removed my flip-flops, stepped onto the sand. I registered its grip between my toes, the weight in which it yielded under the arches of my feet. I felt like the only person on earth, by myself, on the dark beach, the moon glowing just for me. That info isn't needed for the murder mystery. This info would have been fine if you just had the past. If the past timeline was just the whole book, that's fine to add. But when the actual book is about a murder, that depth of info, I guess, isn't needed. Okay, here's another one from Our Last Resort, again, in the past timeline. She was nice, but not like that. Annie was fierce and clear-headed. Her father ran a chain of coffee shops. One day, she'd take over the family business. He'd once hire her on a part-time basis so she could, well, spy on other employees for him. I don't care. This doesn't help add to the story of the murder. So it's just, I don't know. So I ended up giving that a 2.5. I think I rated it a 2 on Goodreads. Yeah, I gave it a 2 on Goodreads. I was between a 2 and a 3, but then I thought about all the other books I've given a 3, and I was like, no, this one was worse. So I downgraded that to a 2. It wasn't a terrible book to read. I didn't hate my time reading it. I was just very like, I went into it thinking this was a thrilling mystery and came out of it realizing that was not it at all. I think the marketing around it, like the synopsis, is not inaccurate. And I really truly think the author wanted to write a book about a cult, not a murder. And I think she should have just picked one of the two. So in the end, I read 2 books. One was highly rated and one was, mid rating. And I gave Wild Dark Shore 3 and I gave Our Last Resort a 2. So at the end of the day, I think I'm just a very nitpicky reader. I also just don't like very slice of life writing. I have to be in a very specific mood for that. So the writing has to wow me a little bit more for me to enjoy slice of life. And Wild Dark Shore kind of failed on that in the beginning. Like, just a lot of nothingness was happening and I struggled with that. I didn't walk away loving any of these books, so I hope the next time I do something like this, maybe I will. I did actually read The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club in between reading these 2 books. Well, I think I listened to it, so that's why I was able to read it in between. And that one was actually very fun. I gave that one a 4-star because it knew what it was. It was a silly, goofy book, and that was okay. Like, it did that well. Went into it knowing that this is an easy read, a lighthearted read, and I myself didn't take the book too seriously. And because of that, I enjoyed it way more than these other books I was reading that were trying to be a thriller mystery, because that didn't land at all. And this book was just fun, easy, lighthearted. If you wanted to read a book like that, it's about 3 people who find out they're dating the same person. He ends up dying. It's kind of like John Tuck Must Die, except he actually does die. And it's fun. It's not supposed to be like this huge like thriller. It doesn't say this is a thriller. It doesn't say that it's suspenseful. The marketing around it, the cover, everything about it says This is a silly mystery. This is not a suspenseful, you're gonna be on the edge of your seat not knowing who it is mystery. And I feel like that's just the difference and the disconnect with marketing sometimes. I went in knowing what it was gonna be, and I was happy with how it ended. But yeah, so that's that. I am done rambling now. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to know your thoughts on them.